We're gonna give people a minute to trickle in, but we're gonna do a VOD review here of the first two games of Kingzone and Afreeca from the round two of the summer split playoffs. And I'm just kind of, I actually just got home, so I'm gonna just do this kind of on the seat of my pants. I didn't have any fancy layouts or anything, but just want to kind of discuss how I look at these things. I'm gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try not to stop too much, just because I'll get bogged down, and this will take many, many, many hours. When in reality, when I'm watching stuff, it doesn't usually. I'm usually processing this on the go and thinking. It's there. I'm not having to explain my thoughts. That actually takes a lot longer. So, but I figured you guys would appreciate seeing the way I view the game, the way I picture things, which isn't the same. It's not to say it's absolutely correct either, but I figured you guys would just appreciate having some insight into how I think. So let me put the thing up on Twitter for those interested. So let's think about going into this match, right? Going into this match, you guys have read the blog. Most of the people watching this have read the blog post and know my thought process for why I decided to go with the bets the way I did. So I'm not gonna go ahead and rehash that, although I might mention it a couple times. In so many words, I thought Kingzone had a huge edge, both individually and just in terms of depth of not even not depth of strategy, but breadth and depth combined of strategies. And what I mean by that is there's teams that are versatile, but they're jack of all trades, master of none, and then there's teams that are very, very pointed, like Gen G, that are very specifically good at certain things. And then there's teams like Kingzone who are way above average in multiple different styles of play, and they have way above average players. So I had a lot of reason, and I'm not going to go ahead and rehash every single point of mine, but the thing I'm most interested in to see is I did briefly look at these drafts, just in passing in the crazy morning I had, and then I was able to watch and listen to Game 3 and 4. So what I was most interested in was to see how Kingzone were going to approach this, because they did get side selection for this match. So after seeing what Afreeca did on Sunday, I was curious to see how they were going to handle it, and whether or not they were going to try to flip the script and put Afreeca in the predictable situation, or if they were just going to play because different teams have different ways of attacking best of fives, and this is part of why best of five is so interesting, because there's so many dynamics to it. There's teams that will play super vanilla as it's the same as putting your feelers out in game one, or in a football game, in the NFL, they script the first 10 plays, and regardless of the result, they just run those 10 plays, right? Just to get a sample size to see what the other team's throwing at them and how they're going to respond. There's teams that do that. There's teams that throw the curveball right away. And then there's teams that the best example would be SK Telecom of the last umpteen years, right? SK Telecom they were not the spicy crazy draft in round one. They would pick very catch-all generic kind of team compositions, and then feel the opponent out, which is why they were so good in best of fives, because they'd be best of fives where they lose the first game, but they made adjustments better than anybody. They used the information that they gleaned from a loss or from a game one like that, and used it better than anybody. So anyway, the second example would be a team like Afreeca, who is more willing to throw the curveball right away, see how the other team responds, and go that way. They're not afraid of that backfiring. Now, I briefly looked at these drafts. I'm gonna roll this, but I'm gonna put this on a little bit of XP. So the main things we need to know, champions that are like borderline must ban on this patch are like Aatrox. You have like Aatrox. Oh, why isn't that running out? So you have Aatrox. You have Swain. Aatrox and Swain are like the big ones, and then you could make an argument for Zoe, but a lot of teams are letting Zoe up now. So like Aatrox is the only really like quote unquote must ban in this patch. The priority champions are like what I would call like the best in role are like Varus at AD carry because he's going to be a pivotal pick. Varus is really really high priority. I'm going to pause this because I want to talk about this. Varus is super high priority. Because he's kind of fits all roles. Like he can be a DPSer or he can do the lethality poke build. So he's super high priority, and you can like blind pick him into pretty much anything in the bot lane. Other high priority champions, Gnar is pretty high priority in top lane. In this specific matchup, Ryze is going to be relevant because Keen is like a bit of a Ryze specialist, and I say a bit of, he's like the best Ryze top in the world. So it's not something Khan can't play. I actually took right before I started this, I took a brief look at his match history, and he did have some Rise games on his account for solo queue. Not sure how much the team was practicing that, likely not that much, but it's interesting because these are two players that could feasibly play that. Anyway, I'm getting bogged down. Gnar, super high priority in the top. Dr. Mundo, super high priority in the top. Support is like Tom Kench and Alistair are definitely the most high priority for supports right now. And then like Swain's really versatile. He can go in 3 positions. Shen can go really only at support. So the Shen ban here is interesting. I kind of thought Kingzone there were two main ways Kingzone were going to approach this map. What's up, Dean Cross? To me, like before, like just thinking about this match like ahead of time, there were 2 main ways that I think Kingzone could have gone into this draft, and then like after that, it was like specific strategies that they wanted to do. Number 1, they could do blue side, pick a generic team that's like good blind picks, and then if Afreeca throws something wacky at them, like let's use the Quinn for this example, right? Like if they don't want to spend a ban on the Quinn, there are matchups you can pick that can manage the Quinn, right? Or maybe because they're prepared for it elsewhere, they can pick higher priority lanes and such. That's if they didn't want to spend a ban on it. The other option is to spend a ban on it. Another option after that would be to go to red side so that they can't counterpick Quinn, but then you're giving up a lot of equity because blue side tends to be better on this patch. Not quite as good as everyone makes it out to be, but it's better for sure. So let's see. Afreeca goes Aatrox, Tahm Kench, Ashe, which actually is fine. I'm gonna spend a lot of time on the draft, so just bear with me here because I'm probably gonna go through the game at a little less, detail because the draft actually matters quite a bit, which is why I'm gonna spend some time on it. Aatrox makes sense. That's fine, especially red side. You more or less have to ban it unless you are gonna try to play with fire and pick some counter strategy. And we've seen how that's worked out, and pretty much everywhere that's tried to do that hasn't worked. Tahm Kench is just good. Might signal that they're looking to play something that could get caught out or doesn't want to get picked. Ashe, sure. Forcing them to first pick or ban Varus maybe because Ashe is one of the better matchups against it because you can just arrow. I don't know, pretty generic bans. To me, this signals that they just want to play. They want to play some kind of pick comp if they're banning Tahm Kench. I mean, he's a pretty good generic ban, but let's see, because they saw Swain first, Aatrox, then the Yasuo. The Yasuo ban's really weird from Kingzone. Like I know Kuro can play it, and I know Yasuo is pretty strong right now, but Yasuo hasn't had a whole lot of success. Like it might have win rate success, but it hasn't really. Like, it hasn't been the reason games have been won, if that makes sense. Like, so anyway, they did Swain, then Afreeca did did Aatrox. Then Kingzone does Yasuo, which probably... No, it didn't signal Tom Kench ban at all, so that doesn't even make sense. I'm just like trying to tell a story here. Anyway, the Ashe ban third from Afreeca makes sense because with Yasuo banned and Tom Kench banned from themselves, that makes Ashe just like a premium pick because it makes any arrow just deadly, and it forces QSSs to be banned and cleanses to be taken and stuff like that. So like the main counter to Ashe is like Tom Kench because you can just eat whoever gets arrowed. Shen's good, or Yasuo can just win wall the arrow. So there's the Ashe ban makes more sense now with those two champions down. Shen is also kind of a weird ban, I guess. Kingzone could be signaling they want to play a split, maybe. I don't know. So we'll just roll this. They do a Taliyah first pick. It's a flex. BDD can play it mid lane. Peanut can play it in the jungle. Although Peanut, I don't think is that good at Taliyah, if I remember the numbers right. But actually, I don't even know if he's played it. Has he even played it this summer? So we get Alistar Varus, which is best in slot for both support and AD carry. When I say best in slot, I mean like in terms of like priority in the current metagame. Like Alistar Varus is probably the best blind bot lane you can pick with these champions banned, especially with Swain banned. I like the Rise takeaway. What I'm curious about is where it goes. Probably mid lane. So, alright, wow. Jeez, so Kingzone just shows their top side of the map all out. Wow. Okay, so let's see. So it is Taliyah jungle. I guess it could be Rise bot. It's not. Anyway, the things that matter here, the bigger picture things that matter here. Kingzone have showed their top side of the map without seeing anything in the top side of the map from Afreeca. This is like one of two things, really. This is signaling like crazy. That they're just like crazy confident. They're gonna pick. I mean, this is enough damage. You don't need any more damage. You could theoretically pick some crazy like, you know, kill lane bottom or something like that. But with Ashe down and Varus down, I honestly, like, regardless of how the rest of this draft ends up, again, I peeked at these team comps, so I sort of know what's going on. I didn't know the draft order when it happened. To me, Afreeca have already won this draft, like, big time. If you're thinking about carries that, so what is Kingzone going to use to engage here? Like, they have Ashe, or they have Rise ultimate, which is telegraphed and not very good against Alistar, who can just pulverize everybody when they get out. They have Taliyah wall to wall people off and make picks. Rise plus Taliyah can be very, very potent, and Jace poke can be really, really good. But right now, you've got two super strong engage tools for Afreeca in Varus and Alistar. You don't have the Tom Kench to stop that. You don't have the Ashe to also have engage yourself. So this is really pigeonholing Kingzone into having to engage with Taliyah ult or Rise ultimate or like Flash Rune Prison, which is not very reliable. So Kingzone are either going to play a full, like an all-out split push, and they're going to try to, you know, play a 1-3-1 composition, or if they don't, they're just kind of dead in the water unless they do something kind of wild. So keep going here. He doesn't actually pick Pantheon, right? I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Olaf. Okay. Olaf makes a lot of sense. Olaf's really, really, really good early game. Like the first 20 to 25 minutes. Honestly, especially like the first like 2 or 3 levels. Unless he's against like Kha'Zix or something like that, he's insanely good in 1v1 duels. So this is basically calling out Peanut. And he's gonna probably try to go kill him in jungle. Yeah, Afreeca are handedly ahead already. I love this draft from Afreeca. Walling Olaf, getting the situation where you wall Olaf is really, really hard, and him just being able to gun it into the back line is really, really powerful. Like, they've got... I'm trying to think if, like, Kingzone are just playing for lane, because that's, like, another thing that they do a lot. Like, they just play to win lane, win game. It's kind of like Invictus does in the LPL. There's the Quinn ban. I wonder if Kingzone, like, I don't know the Jace Quinn matchup. I assume it's like kind of even. Actually, Quinn probably, it's like a skill matchup because if Jace lands the poke, he wins. If he doesn't, Quinn wins. Like the Ezreal ban from Afreeca, it's gonna force them onto even more AD carries that can't get away from Olaf. Vel'Koz banned away from Kuro from Kingzone. Vel'Koz is really good against Ryze, is the answer to that, by the way, in case people are wondering. Now, if I'm a Afreeca here, I just want to pick something that can manage Jace. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, Ornn's a nice selection. Oh, they banned Morgana as well, so, like... I just don't see how Kingzone gets in here. We're going to fast forward a bit. What do they do, Xayah or Khan, probably? Alright, Case. Case actually makes sense, too, because you're going to need, like, a hyper carry to get through all the health you see so far. But again, this is a weird draft, because... you can pick early game champ. You don't ever want to have 3 losing lanes. Like, you don't want to do the Gen G. You want to pick like 1 losing lane at worst, and then like 1 that can go even. Ideally, you want better than that, but like worst case scenario, that's what you want. The idea being your good early game champions can bridge your good late game champion into the late game, but that is a very thin line to toe. And he goes Talon. Talon Rise is kind of interesting. Rise like wins, but Talon's just going to try to not lane. So if he can get through the first, like, if he can get through like his first recall without being punished too hard, then the Talon's in really good shape because he's just going to play the map. So, Afreeca with a really good draft for a lot of different reasons. And Kingzone literally just picking to win lane, win game, and doing so from blue side with blind picks is really weird, and it's bizarre as hell to me that they picked their entire top side of the map blinds. Like, I understand that like you're getting priority champions and everything, but I don't know if I agree with that strategy. Like, I'm sure, in other words, I'm sure they could have justification, and it'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall and hear what they're thinking on this, but I really don't like how they approach this. And again, like I said, I've seen these team compositions. I just didn't see how the specific draft went down. I didn't see it. They triple blinded, like, from blue side, like their solo lanes in jungle. That's really bizarre to me. That's really bizarre. They don't have it. So not having a tank isn't like the end all be all, and it's actually a very Kingzone thing to do. Like they like this kind of thing where they pick, 4 or 5 damage dealers. But in this situation, I mean, Rakan's good. Rakan's good engage. I don't know. This is really fast and loose from Kingzone. So they're opting. I mean, these are all comfort champions besides maybe the Talia, so that's not anything crazy. But it's kind of interesting to me that they. I'm gonna speed this up. Kind of interesting to me that they went in this direction. All right. Yeah, this was an extreme enough outdraft that I might have considered. No, I wouldn't have considered a hedge there. See, so the other wrinkle to this, guys, is like from our point of view, like after the fact, and justification / like reaction. Like, would I have? Let me take a look at this level 1 real quick. Just gonna fan. We got 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's not a draft that I would have hedged, probably because of the amount I'd wagered on this. So, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I would have hedged there after the fact, because I almost definitely wouldn't have. But I will admit that Afreeca won this draft pretty hard. But these kind of comps, Kingzone can just kind of run away with the game if they snowball. But it's a very, very narrow window for them to hit. So Ornn leashes. They know Olaf starting red. They knew Olaf was starting red anyway. So if Olaf's going to start red, there's only two options at a vertical jungle. They have a ward to spot it over here. So that's warded. Both teams can see where which is going. Kingzone also opted to ward the Pixel Bush bot river. So Olaf is just going to do a full clear, or not a full clear, all but Krugs, which is like the full clear these days. Not going to go too into lane matchups too much. I'm playing at 1.5x speed, guys. So because I don't want to get too bogged down, otherwise this will take 10 goddamn forevers. Scuttle topside. The other reason Olaf's really good against Taliyah is because he also has a crazy fast clear. Like Olaf, like look how far ahead Olaf is here. Olaf did red Raptors, blue Wolves Gromp, and he's on Scuttle. Taliyah did blue Gromp, or no, blue was it blue red, or blue Gromp, red Wolves Scuttle, or Scuttle Wolves rather. And Olaf's like just about done here, but he's done like an extra camp. Like he's a full camp ahead. Not like in terms of gold, but he also wins the duel level 1. Like Olaf like the first, like once he's like level 3 is just like kind of crazy if you can chain axes together. This is how this lane's gonna go. Afreeca's just gonna have priority. So, one more pause, and I swear to God I'll keep going. At least soon. So, I don't know how much you guys know, but for those that don't, there's this concept in League called priority, and what priority means is, given, you know, in laning, having priority means that you're able to get to a fight outside of lane first. So usually this entails being able to push the wave better than your opponents can. And what this allows you to do is say like, so Afreeca pushed, just for example, Afreeca pushed this wave to the tower in bot lane, right? If there were, say, like a fight to happen in the tribe rush or like by dragon, I know it's like it's 3 minutes into the game, so it's just an example. It's a hypothetical, so just bear with me because I use the word a lot. I want to describe it once before we go on. If Kingzone wanted to take a fight in Dragon, they would now be sacrificing these minions or showing up to that fight late, which is a losing fight. Kingzone do not have priority here. That's what I mean when I say priority or prio, right? Like, that's what that means. So, Afreeca have priority in bottom lane. Kingzone have it in top lane for the first chunk of the game. And mid lane's kind of a wash, just depending on how things go. It's probably Talon early and Rise later. I think Korra already backed, right? No, Korra didn't back yet. It is interesting to see Korra playing assassins. Historically, he's basically only been able to play like LeBlanc and Fizz. His Fizz was a meme for a long time, but Korra is a much better people than people give him credit for. Maybe not anymore, but there was a long period of time where everyone was just like, oh yeah, Rockstargers was carrying him. It's not the case at all. He's a very good player. As a matter of fact, there was a period of time, see how he kind of took a bad trade to shove that out. So now, in this situation, talking about priority, Kingzone now have priority in this situation. So, we see Spirit, right? Spirit's in River. If Spirit were to collapse on this, it's not advantageous to him because his bot lane's either going to miss out on those minions. And Gorilla kind of anticipates that there's something going on mid. Okay. That's Gorilla using the fact that he had priority to get up and get vision somewhere and try to see what's going on. And nothing too bad comes of it. There's no summoners or anything, so... And see BDD was trying to freeze the wave there. Nothing was actually going to happen in that situation. Gorilla's just getting wards. What this is doing, though, Like, having Tucson and Kuro here together is letting Spirit kind of just do whatever. It's a good gank. I don't know if this is worth a die. Ooh, they both took 2 tower hits there. That's not worth. It's not worth because you didn't get the wave all the way to the tower to be able to get a recall, and now you're at a mana disadvantage if you're Kramer. And like Tucson and Gorilla are basically a wash. So when you're playing this kind of lane, you can play safe and all, and you should be able to have priority against this kind of lane, but Kesa is like a ticking time bomb, right? You don't want to give her, you want to just like choke her out of the game. And situations like that, if you're not able to get the wave all the way to the tower, you don't want to be pushing in the first place. Now, I know a gank happened and everything, but you got to realize, like, big picture where you're at. So I think that's a pretty big mistake by Afreeca to actually take those tower hits like they did. I know what they were trying to do, but that wasn't exactly a hard line to toe. Like, it was pretty arrogant of Kramer to do that. And you just don't want to give Kesa anything. Like, you want to take everything away from her because champ scales so well. BDD's in control of this lane pretty heavily right now. BDD's, my god, 25 CS up already. Town didn't even roam yet. It's wicked. Yeah, like I said, like eventually Talon's just able to one-shot wave clear. And Rise also able to one-shot wave clear, but Talon's not going to... Like, early levels, Talon's got to spend, like, 2 Ws clearing the wave, and he's likely going to eat a Rune Prison every time he does that. So, it's really, really rough for the first few levels, so... Wow. How the hell did that happen? Kramer and Prey both got recalls here. Tucson and Gorilla match each other on their recalls. Oh, show me the bot lane. Show me the bot lane. How's this happen? It looks like, just looking at the health bars, Prey overextended a little trying to get this wave to the tower for another recall. Kramer ding 6 on him. I wonder... Let me see something. Prey's 5. Kramer's already 6. This was stupid. I mean, alright, so listen. It's not as dumb as it looks, and I'm not trying to justify this for Kingzone, but I'm gonna tell you why this looks dumber than it actually was. Okay, so Kramer's already 6. Prey's not 6 yet. What will happen is if he doesn't push this wave all the way out, Kramer is able to freeze that there forever, and then Tucson and Kramer are gonna have complete control over this lane for many minutes. And this is the kind of thing that, like, looks really, really dumb. I even caught it myself just now. This is the kind of thing that looks super, super dumb. Like, it's like, man, Prey, you're an idiot. What are you doing? But Prey doesn't really have a choice other than to try to push this out. Otherwise, they're frozen on forever. And, like, you could make an argument that, okay, like, he's up a wave. I mean, he's not really up a wave once Kramer catches this. So, like, you could make an argument that he's... you know, wrong for putting himself in that position, but the fact of the matter is, like, this is the difference here, right? This is a perfect situation of something that looks dumber than it actually is. Like, he had to do this, and he just didn't dodge. Like, and I'm sure he's a good enough player that I'm sure he knew Kramer was going to try an all-in here as a punish, and Kramer just got it. We didn't get to see the actual skill shot. I wonder if they'll pull that up on a replay or something. Like, that's the kind of thing that a casual watcher isn't going to realize. Like, that, like, Prey had to do that. He didn't have a choice. Otherwise, he was going to... It's honestly better to give that kill or take the chance to not get that kill. Wow, this kind of just blew up. Than it is to just deny yourself the next, like, 5 waves. Because that's what was going to happen. Like, it's, you know, more gold to lose those 5 waves than it is to give the kill over. How'd this develop? Hold up. So we see Spirits heading top lane. Peanut's way behind. Peanut is 6, but he's way behind on this play. He's way behind on this play, and Kuro actually has priority in mid lane, so BDD doesn't have a chance to follow outside of ultimate. He's going to be behind. So we got BDD here. you know, all right, these two are going to cancel out. Talia's going to have to ult to get to this fight, which isn't ideal because she doesn't have a good angle to do so. And Khan's already, like, massively winning this trade. Good flash away. Khan goes back in trying to get the kill. He gets it. So he's going to die. They make this a 1-for-1. BDD and Khan get in. They're going to try to turn this. Alright, they traded. So it's what, 2 for 2. 2 for 1. Okay. That's not a bad turn. Let me see one more time here. Trying to see if anything different could have come here. Curry doing a really good job using the ult. Jumping into the bush and then using the ult. There was a ward in that bush, but you want to play with vision as much as possible with talents. Like a really, you know, it's a minutia, a minor minutia, as they say, but it's relevant. So that trade, you know, 2 for 1 in favor of Kingzone, definitely favors them because they want to get this lane going. They have a huge advantage in both solo lanes. While Afreeca have the advantage in the bot lane. What's probably going to happen here, just like trying to look forward and anticipate, would be they're going to try to play around Khan now. Because with their bot lane where it is, you're just kind of waiting to scale Kesa anyway. So there's like 2 ways you can approach it. Like you can try to assist the Kesa and get her there faster, or you can kind of snowball the lane you get ahead. Most good teams will snowball the lane that's ahead already. And in a composition like this where this is another weird thing about this draft, right? Like Kesa, you want to just play like the infinite scaling game, right? Like where she's just like better late game than everything else. But like if you don't have set up CC, I guess they have the Rakan and shit, but like if you don't have a front line to start a fight and soak some damage, like Rakan's not enough of a front line. Rakan's a good engage tool, but he's not enough of a front line to just soak enough damage to output a bunch and then Kesa cleans up. Like they have the poke, which is good, but like it's not reliable. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. This Kingzone draft is really conflicted. Like it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so if I'm Kingzone, I'm playing around Khan because that's at this point the way you're going to win this game. The problem with playing around Khan, I mean, they're not even going to play around Khan, but like if I was Kingzone, I'd be playing around Khan here. But the fact that this is even 10 minutes in for the most part, and they don't have a huge advantage, means they're already losing because they're just out-comped pretty bad by Afreeca. Now, Afreeca's comp isn't without errors of its own. I meant to talk about this too. I just never got around to it. Olaf falls off really hard. Talon also sort of falls off. Neither of them can teamfight particularly well, so this is kind of like... I mean, they're building to kind of 1-3-1. But, and they want to create, like, flank fights. But, like, that's not that hard to do against a tankless team. You just kind of bulldoze in there and you're good. How does this develop? So, Talon... They passing blue. They see Spirit go bottom. They're pinging Spirit bottom. So as soon as that happens, Kuro's shoving. And he's looking to punish Khan, who's overshoved in the top lane here. This is like really fundamental. Kuro's off the map. No ping or anything from BDD, but we're not going to critique that. It could easily just be... Oh, there's the missing ping. So then, right now, just now, Kuro drops the missing ping and see Kuro's already up here. Now, I'm sure he was saying that in comms. Maybe he wasn't, though. And with Ornn's engage radius so ridiculously big, like, he's dead. As soon as he needed to back off 10 seconds ago. He had to back off, like, 5 or 6 seconds ago. Otherwise, he's just dead here. Like, especially without flash. This was a huge overextension from Khan. So, wasn't anything particularly great from Afreeca. It was just a huge overextension from Khan. That's going to be another theme of today is figuring out whether this was Afreeca playing super well. Well, obviously, I mean, they're professionals in the LCK playoffs. Like, obviously, they're playing well. But, like, I wanted to see which end of the seesaw that was on. Like, was this more Afreeca just playing exceptionally, or was this Kingzone playing poorly? And that's kind of what I'm looking to derive from these. All right, let's see. No recalls. It's really, really good on BDD, by the way, to take these really aggressive trades, knowing that a dragon's up, especially an Infernal Dragon with their 4 damage team. So if you notice, he plays this like really, really aggressively. He doesn't have vision on his bottom side, and Spirit could just as easily be there if he just like ran right to it. So he kind of did all this blind, knowing that it's more important to put damage down so that it's a more favorable fight with the dragon coming up. That's really, really high level. I mean, it's fundamental for high level play, but that's like a high level fundamental. Kind of battling for vision here. Afreeca kind of just giving up the vision around there. It's not a fight that they're willing to invest in. Which is smart because Kuro's chunked out anyway, so they really don't want to take that fight as it is. So I think that was the correct decision. Spear correctly goes to red. Khan's going to check that. Looking like they're going to rotate. Yeah, they're just going to give this dragon over. They know what's happening. Spirit heads down there anyway. I think Spirit wasted a little bit of time there. He could have been clearing Krugs. Could have been ganking. Yeah, I actually think that was a pretty big mistake by him. Like, he knows it's happening. They were on a ward. He took his red buff. There's no reason not to go take... Like, look. I'll try to explain this in, like, not layman's terms, but, like, yeah, in layman's terms, I guess. So, the second they started heading up in this direction, you knew they were just seeding. It's actually the second they gave up the control, like the wards here. The second they gave that up, it was not something they were going to fight over. Let me get this in red 1 second. It's easier to see, I think. There we go. So, like, the second they stopped fighting over this ward over here, like, they were just giving that dragon up. So when that happens, Spirit intelligently goes and starts taking his top side. He knows they can't win a fight because Kuro's chunked out, right? So he goes and starts taking his red side. And then he does this thing where he, like, runs back. Like, look, he runs back down toward the dragon. Like, he's crossing his mid. Goes in to catch some of this wave here. And then watch what he does. He, like, runs over like he's going to contest, but, like, there's no way he's contesting. That's, like, wasted. I know it's, like, only a few seconds, but that's wasted time. He could have been putting a gank on like, he could have been putting a gank or setting up a gank for Keen, taking vision topside river. He could have been taking Scuttle, which is up. Could have been taking Krugs and then Scuttle and had gotten, you know, beaten Talia to the punch there. Peanut, after seeing him walk across the minions mid and seeing that he went toward bottom lane, knows that he's not there, runs immediately to the Scuttle Crab and takes it. There's a heads up play by Peanut, just, you know, capitalizing on a mistake by Spirit. And they got a dragon. Still a pretty even game, all things considered. I mean, Afreeca is probably a little favored just because Kingzone needs to be more ahead than they are here. It's so weird. Like, Kingzone kind of lost this draft so hard, and, you know, I don't know. There've been plays on both sides, but I think Kingzone have, like, actually outplayed the game. It's just they haven't outplayed it enough. Yeah, this is a mistake. I want to see how. I want to see what if they knew Rakam was leaving or not. So there's a good feign by Gorilla. Gorilla feigns up, like, after the wave's dead, feigns up toward Triforce, like, Um, he feigns up toward the Tri-Brush like he's going to fight for vision, and instead of fighting for vision, he just walks right through to gank mid lane. That's like next level. Especially because he knows Peanut's there, they're setting up a pick. But Peanut gets spotted out on that ward over here. He's like here, he gets spotted from this ward here. So they didn't see Spirit come in here, I don't think. No, they did. They did see Spirit come in here. Or they know Spirit's at least around there. See, they're pinging behind red. They think he's already there. No ward there. Oh, so that was just a blind call. They have a ward like behind. Wait, how? Oh, they just like straight up lost the 2v2 bot. Girl, it wasn't even in this fight. Yeah, they just straight up lost the 2v2. That's all this was. Looks like a Tucson flash, Pulv. Alright, now this game's kind of blown open. At this point, with Afreeca so far ahead and their comp scaling, you know, not that Kingzone's comp scales badly, but no tanks makes this exceedingly difficult already for Kingzone. Talon's normally a problem against no tanks, or Talon's normally a problem in scaling, but he's not, like, Talon scales perfectly fine if the other team doesn't have a tank to mess you up when you're engaging. And if Rakan's the only real engage, like, for Kingzone besides, like, Rise Ultimate or Talia Wall, who stopped, like, no one is there to stop Kuro from diving. Like, no one's there to stop Kuro from just diving prey. Like, what do they have? Rune Prison, Rakan Ultimate, which they would rather not be using for that. I actually really like the Talon pick. I think Fizz would have fit as well, but Fizz is a little tougher to play into Rise. He's no wave clear, really. I really like this Talon pick. I don't normally like that champion that much, but I think it's really good here. I know I didn't say that as much in the draft, but thinking about it more now, it's definitely a good pick here. Now, Prey's keeping up, but he's not exactly ahead of schedule, right? And with the team comp that they drafted, they really needed to be ahead of schedule. So, I mean, in my opinion, this game is already pretty heavily in Afreeca's favor. Like, probably like 70-30. Like, they would need some tremendous throws, or Kingzone would need some tremendous plays to outplay this. I probably would have hedged here. Odds wouldn't have been good, but I probably would have... Or maybe not for the full amount anyway, but I would have partial hedged. Because if you didn't win lane hard enough, I mean they did. The solo lanes won, the mid lane just stomped, but they didn't do enough with their advantage. They got an Infernal Drake, which was right. That's a good punchback. We have no one there to defend. Yeah, Afreeca. See, I'm trying to figure out like how much of this was draft and how much of this was misplays, because I think, I mean, both teams made mistakes and both teams made heads up like good plays. It's just a superior draft. Which shouldn't surprise us, because I mean it shouldn't surprise us because Afreeca are, you know, they're good. They're always well prepared. Yeah, Kramer having the confidence to flash like that means he's kind of feeling himself. Most people wouldn't have felt the need to do that there. They would just be like, no, I'll get it. But flashing gives Khan the least time to react, and they were able to turn that into a tower, so it's worth it. Let's skip ahead a little bit. I mean, Kingzone do get 2 Infernals, which is really potent with how much damage their team has, but I don't see it. Alright, let's take a look at this setup. looking like... So Kingzone don't have any vision over here. So this is strictly just them roaming together looking for a fight. Tucson misses the Mize Pulverize. That's a really, really good collapse. So they're spotted going this way. And look at Afreeca's response to this, right? Like, Spirit was minding his own business over here. He's actually like going to... But like, they are so ahead of the curve on this. Like, they just felt... They felt this pressure coming. They saw this. They saw the move down here. And the collapse is already happening. Like, everyone's already on their way to this point, and they all move in a way that gets them to that point and on the same side. So Afreeca's all on the same side here. Kingzone are down their damage dealer. This was a really smart play from Kingzone. Because you know Rise is off getting blue. This was good. Or not Kingzone. This is a really smart play from Afreeca. Because you know Rise is off getting blue. All you can do is ult in late, which is not how they want to be using the ult here. That wasn't even... yeah, I don't know. I think when you see... they didn't see, though. Like, Afreeca have had better vision. Tucson, and Spirit have been doing an excellent job. Like, they've maintained control of this bottom side river for this whole game. Like, they've had these, like, this set of vision here. Like, this set of vision here for the whole game. They didn't... And the only time they gave it up was when they gave up the dragon, which was the correct decision to do because Kuro was chunked out. Like, this is the kind of, like, I know this, like, seems fundamental, but, like, this is the kind of thing that this is what well-disciplined, well-coached teams do. They don't need the best players in the world to do these kind of decisions. And, like, so Kingzone are now in a situation where they're just... Kingzone realize how bad of a spot they are despite having the two Infernals, and they're just trying to make plays happen now. Let me see this setup. They get priority in mid lane. They have no vision. The only vision they have is behind the banana bush over here. It's like over here on the map. It's like right over here. Afreeca doing a really good job snowballing this game. Hasn't been like perfectly crystal clean, but they're doing such a good job maintaining vision control over everything. Like, they're moving as a unit. They're decisive. Kingzone, I mean, both teams made, like, smaller mistakes in this game. Like, you know, minutia kind of mistakes. But, like, I think other than draft, it's like one medium mistake to one medium mistake. And then Kingzone made that mistake, which was a major mistake. I mean, that was both, though. Like, that's a situation where there's plenty of games where you don't get punished for that. This is just Kingzone trying to fight their way out of a paper bag. They're so good in situations like this. Like, that fight had no business being as close as it was. We can go back and watch that normal speed, but... Like, let's take a look at this. It had no business being as close as it was. Kuro with a good flank position here. So, Kuro with a really, really good flank position. They're down Gorilla. Kingzone is. And I'm pretty sure Afreeca know that. Yeah, they do know that. This positioning is so smart from Kuro. Because he's, like, not going to find... Like, that's really good because he can make a pick. He can make a pick either going this way, or he could pick Rakan over here before he gets back to the fight, and all of a sudden, Kingzone don't have an engage, really. So... Again, they're just like, they have no vision. They have no vision. They know this Baron's happening, but they're face checking. Look at this. Afreeca intelligently turned. They're not going to sit there and take a beating from Baron, which is smart. A little indecisive on who they were going to go to, which is the only reason this fight's close. They opted to go for Prey, which is smart. case off on their own. You don't want them getting any money from this fight. Now, with all the poke, they're not going to be able to do a Baron after this, more than likely, but trades like that, like 1-for-1s, 1-for-2s. I mean, this was a 2-for, so obviously it's good, but like trades like that, like 1-for-1s, like scrap walk away, just favors Afreeca. And it's really like minimizing the leads that like Khan and BDD had. It almost makes it not matter. Like Khan's got a 1200 gold lead, but because it's Ornn, and because that's not a 2000 gold lead, and they haven't been able to do too much with it, they didn't get any. They haven't gotten any towers. Like they opted for the dragons, which is good. But I think if you're playing a team comp like this, you as good as Infernal Drake is, I think you still need to prioritize towers higher, and they just didn't. It was just poor macro play. I mean, that very well could have been their game plan, but if that's the case, then I think the game plan was wrong. And if it's not the case, then I think it was just poor fundamental macro play. So Afreeca don't spend the time to set up any waves here. So they're going to have waves pushing against them in both outer lanes. Keen's going to go down and clear that. They're just going to keep playing around Baron. The dragon for another minute. And if Afreeca really want... So, normally in these situations as a team, you need to invest... Khan, what the hell was Khan doing there? Hold up. He walks on a ward. He didn't see the pink ward that was down here. Spirit. Sneaky. Drops the pink ward here. Khan has no idea. Khan really has no idea because all this vision is choked off. They just have nothing. Khan goes to hit the vision. I mean, he's just dead here. He goes to hit the scrying bush, does so, but it doesn't matter. His team is so disciplined with lead, man. It's crazy. Like, I know all the really good Korean teams are good with leads, but, like, it's just rock solid. Just crazy good vision play. And Afreeca know exactly where their power is, and they leverage, you know, that power to get better positions on things and to make picks like that. Now, I think that was really boneheaded of Khan, but again, that's a situation where he doesn't really have that much of it. The other choice he has is to just blind shockwave, which I think is a correct choice. So it wasn't like total bonehead status, but it was definitely suboptimal. Crow using an ulti chunk peanut out there means that there's threat of Baron or threat of Dragon, and they just can't contest because with the jungler chunked out like that, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Afreeca doing a really good job, like, not overextending on any of these things. They're not trying to slam the door shut. They're just slowly choking this game away, which is exactly what you want to do when you have a scaling comp that's better. So Prey's 0-3. I know on Twitter this morning, Prey got a lot of hate, but I honestly don't think this game wasn't really his fault. This was a poor macro game. I mean, so far. I don't know. We haven't watched the rest of it yet, but I know he's 0-3, but like I guess you could point to the positioning in that last team fight, like by the Baron, like in the river up here. Like his positioning was a little suspect because it was like off to the right-hand side. Just clearing vision. Yeah, Kingzone are kind of in desperation mode here. Like, they're in the situation where either they need to start taking chances now, or they want to just play the odds and try to scale, and if they lose, they lose. Like, make or freak out, play you. There's not too much else to say here. Like, look at that. Just look at that. They have nothing anywhere. Just nothing. They know they're on it. They can't face check this, though. Look at this. They're blind rise ulting into this Baron. Jesus, what a beating. Bravo, Afreeca. Bravo. So listen, folks. Like, I really don't think this was particularly bad misplay. So Khan overextending top was a really, really bad play. Maybe Prey's positioning in that one team fight, like by the mid wall. I'm talking about the fight that was like over here when he was like here. But this was like mostly Khan was the biggest mistake I think Kingzone made. Like, yeah, Khan was like I think the biggest mistake Kingzone made, and then after that, I think it was like just their general approach to the game. Like, it was a bad game plan. I see what they were trying to do, and it makes sense. They were trying to end this game before it mattered, but like, and again, so this is one of the things with best of fives that happens is teams will try to feel a team out. Kingzone, either, you know, whether they were cocky or confident, you can call it whatever. We don't actually know unless we're in the booth or in their practice sessions. We don't actually know. But maybe they were just like, let's play our comfort champs. Let's play to win game or win lane, win game. And let's try to snowball on Afreeca. And that's not a bad idea for game one. It just didn't pan out this time around. And I think their draft had a lot to do with it. It was a really bizarre draft. I actually think even if you were the thing that makes it bad to me is like even if you were drafting for lane, like win lane, win game, you could have did a better draft. Like, why are you leaving Varus up in that situation if you're not going to take it? Like, they drafted the win lane, win game, and they have Peanut on Talia, which can be a good ganking jungler. Why isn't Peanut play? Like, Lee Sin's actually viable here. If you're going to go all in on early game like this, like, I would have been totally down with a Lee Sin pick. You just want to get your soul lanes ahead, 1-3-1, and try to win that way. Like, that is totally viable. Oh, that's a really good engage. Oh, man, that was a good engage. God, Afreeca played this so well, guys. It wasn't like flawless or perfect, but my God, when they got I mean, it's not that hard. If this kind of comp gets a lead, it's pretty easy, but this team doesn't make sloppy mistakes. They more or less just like always do what you're supposed. Like, they always do in game. They always do what you're supposed to do. This is a bit of an overextension. Okay, so they made a mistake. That was a sick turn. That was a sick turn. Curve the zone use curve just obliterates. Oh my God, Khan just blows up. Wow. This game can't go on much longer, right? We're gonna fast forward a little bit. They did get that inhib, so they got inhib, they got one tower. How does this game go on? Pick up another Earth Drake. Yeah, I mean, if you're freaking this spot, all you need to do is connect the dots. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna go ahead and just like skip through this, see if anything important happens. I don't think anything does. Again, they move around. It's kind of weird. See, they're not overextending in a spot where they don't have vision. Like, They know that they can get the outer tower relatively safely, but like if you look, all of Afreeca's vision is invested bot side. So they don't want to overstay here without complete knowledge, even though they're as ahead as they are. It's just good, like, again, it's good coaching. Like, they just identify how they're going to win the game. They're basically saying, like, look, you guys, the onus is on you guys to make plays. So all they need to do is try to sit back and soak and absorb all that pressure, and they did a really good job this game. They even made some proactive plays to do that. Because, like, they're the truly good... I mean, I'm not calling Afreeca a defensive team, but in this game they were. But, like, truly great defensive teams play proactive defense. They don't just, like, sit back and be like, oh, you know, they don't put it out there and say, oh, can you beat it? Can you beat us fast enough? No, like, they don't. They're proactive about it because you have to be, at this level, you need to be proactive about your defense. You need to be able to shove lanes, get priority to get wards, able to get vision. Like, you need to be there to contest the vision when it happens, and Afreeca do all those things excellently. They're very, very good at that. Like I said, they're a well-coached team. I mean, outside of, like, the 2 weeks, like, toward the end of this season where they looked kind of not checked out, but looked like they were experimenting and I guess a little bit checked out. Like, outside of that, this entire season, they've just been disciplined as hell. Like, they're very good at that. I still think their ceiling is a lot lower than any of the top 4 teams just based on the talent they have. And that's in no disrespect to the talent. It's just not... It's not, like, on the world-breaking level that, like, the top 4 Korean teams have. That's all. Nib should be up soon. Gonna have to stop this bot wave, Baron. I figure just need to wait for the minions. They just need to wait for minions. Keep maintaining control. Like, Kuro again with a great spot. They probably even know. Here's the thing, right? Even if they know Kuro's there, it doesn't matter because, like, look at this. They know Kuro's here, but they have to face check this because they can't give a Baron because they're just going to lose to the Baron because they're not going to be able to wave clear these Baron minions with this team comp because they don't have a front line to, like, block a fight engage. So, like, they have to check this. They're not as 5 people. They're short people. You see the teleport's coming in over here, so they're going to be coming from 3 different spots. You got these guys already here. You got this, and you got teleport here. So what the hell? Like, and then Kuro's just going to shoot this gap, and that's easy. Like, this game's over. They get the backwards Talia ult, like, full on tilt. Or I don't know if you got headbutted there. Like, this is a fight. This fight is lost before it begins. Bad Rise ult. Like, no, I mean, at this point, they're so far behind. Look at that. I mean, Kingzone, excellent. How the hell did they do that? Afreeca were a little indecisive here. Kuro should have just shot this gap as soon as he saw that ult. I mean, he's waiting for prey. Hops over. They spot prey. They spot prey here. Or not prey. They spot Kuro here. So now, at this point, they basically can only move forward. They can't retreat backwards because prey's exposed. They have Baron aggro and Keen. Again, they knew exactly where Kuro was coming from. It's really good Ornn ultimate. How the hell did they lose this? So Kuro goes down. But Kuro trading for prey is exactly what they want. That's Kuro's job at this point. And then from here we just see, like, this is why having a frontline matters. Afreeca, I don't want to say they played that fight perfectly because they didn't. There's definitely spots they could have did better. But Kuro did his job, took prey out, and with prey out of the equation, like, how the hell does Kingzone win? Kingzone's down gold, down the hyper carry they have. And for as much damage as this team can do with Talia, Jason, Rise, like, it's just not worth it. Like, I don't know. This draft is super conflicted to me. And as I said, like going into the game, I think the concept of having good early game champions to bridge your late game champion to late game is good, and that's fine and everything. But I think it can be done better. Like there's just such a nombo. Let's go game 2. So how do they mix it up? Same exact bands. Afreeca gets side selection, select red side, which I think is right in this situation. The way this works in the LCK, guys, is it's higher seed gets side selection for games 1, 3, and 5. And Afreeca get it for 2 and 4. So unless they've changed that, I don't think they have. Same bans, except Shen is not banned and Olaf is banned from Kingzone because they thought Olaf deserved it. So Olaf they banned the Olaf this time around. Take the Taliyah first pick again, which makes sense. It's one of the better picks against Taliyah. Shen gets through. They take Shen. Shen was banned last time by Kingzone. Afreeca do the same thing. So this is one of the dynamics of best of 5, right? So Afreeca were able to break serve in map 1. They could either choose to like put the foot on the gas and like really just try to full tilt Kingzone with something weird, or they can just say like, you know, we're gonna do the same thing again. Just deal with it. Can you deal with it? They get the Varus again. Yeah, I really don't like the way Kingzone played these drafts. Already, I don't like this draft. Already, just this. There's not a whole lot Kingzone can do. Like, if you're... it's so frustrating, guys. It's so frustrating. Like, I know how good Taliyah is right now. Like, and as a champion in the professional scene, it's really powerful. But, like, a Kingzone just had... I mean, you can now tell Kingzone just had the wrong read here. This isn't even tilt or anything. This wasn't the wrong read. This wasn't lack of preparation. It was just incorrect preparation. Like, they just had they had a bad read on this game. This was a bad game plan. Like, they are all in on this Taliyah. They really believe in the Taliyah. The Peanut must have been just murdering scrims with it, or they must have been, like, tricking people or something, but... Afreeca playing... Like, this is, like, so vanilla. Afreeca aren't doing anything crazy. And this isn't even like an overreact. Like, Kingzone isn't even overreacting, like trying to force ban out Keen or anything like that. You take the Camille, so you have double flex here. That's okay. Again, like, I don't get... I don't get it. I mean, I don't like it. It's not that it's terrible, it's just weird. Alright, good. They at least take the Alistar this time around. That's good. Take Morgana, maybe? Who's priority mid laner? You could take priority mid, you could take priority jungle. You could play, like, Gragas. Yeah, I was going to say Gragas would fit here. You still have the flex. Gragas can still go top. Mundo is still on the table. Interestingly, Mundo went all the way through pick a ban in game 1. Which is not normal for this patch. And pretty interesting. I actually really like that Gragas pick, because Gragas is one of the few champions that can actually kind of lane against Mundo. Jax ban. Jax ban signals that is 100% a Camille top. Or they want it to be a Camille top, because Jax is a counter. So Kingzone really showing... Kingzone... They don't hide anything. God, this was just... this was a terrible game plan, I think. I know that they're just trying to use the tools that they have. Like, they have dynamic players that could just, like, win games by themselves. And I understand you want to put these guys on playmakers, but, like... Man, oh man. Like, this isn't... There's, like, outside the box drafting. Like, doing something different for the sake of, like... Or, like, trying to next level your opponent who thinks you're going to play one way and do the other. But, like... Man, I really don't like this draft at all. Again, this is not quite as bad as the first one, but like... Yeah, this was just a bad game plan, man. They go Kesa again? At least they have the Alistair and the Camille this time. My god. Rise is fine. Blind. Would have liked Rise or Oriana here. I think Rise is fine. You want a priority champion. Rise is good for that. I like the Rise pick if they stick to it. The Rise pick's fine. That makes sense here. I'm not going to begrudge that. It's just so weird to me that, like... So, like, alright, let's look at this, like, on a big picture standpoint, right? What are you accomplishing as Kingzone? Saving your mid lane counter pick to last and then going with Rise anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're that confident in Gorilla's ability... They banned the Talon this time, so he's just going to pick Vel'Koz, I bet. Like, if you're that confident in your ability... Like, maybe there's like a level 3 thing that I'm missing here, like a champion that I'm not factoring in that just obliterates specifically those two, you know, the not this, which is forcing them to pick this situation. Like, maybe that's misfortune. I don't know. But, like... If you're gonna, like, you could just blind pick Rise. It's not the best, but you can just blind pick Rise. I know Talia is a higher priority pick right now, but, like... I don't know. I don't like first picking jungle Talia, especially when it's easy enough for Afreeca to pick something that can deal with a mid Talia and whatever BDD is going to play. Like, the champions that are good against Talia are good against the champions like Talia too. So it's not like you're really getting them. You know, it's not like you're baiting a counter pick and then picking something that counters the counter. Like, that's not going to happen, right? So it's just so weird to me. And again, like, maybe I might be there might be something that's just like missing. Like, I might just be like a pick that I'm forgetting about, and I'll be like, oh, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. But just like right at a glance, like, what the hell? Yeah, like I say, he's gonna take the Vel'Koz, and he did. So, like, you have the same thing. You have a 2-core composition against... Kingzone's comp's a little bit better this time around. Kingzone should be able to have priority in top end mid. But you have this massive front line. Afreeca just playing 2-core. Like, straight up traditional 2-core. I wonder if they, like, psyched Kingzone out of this so bad off Sunday. The Kingzone was, like, not banning the Quinn, but prepping for it and, like, freaking the hell out. And then Afreeca just snapped back to Vanilla, and they're like, yo, we're gonna beat you straight up, yo. God, this Afreeca comp is lit. It's so good. You have so much frontline and so much disruption that Kuro's going to be able to get a full ult off almost every time. Like, even with Khan. Like, because Khan can't insta-interrupt it. He can ult and then do a stun, and that's still going to be, like, 2 seconds worth of the channel of the ultimate. I really like this comp a lot. This is, like, a very traditional 2-core. Like, 3 tanks, 2 hyper carries, tons of CC. Like, that's exactly what we want in 2-core composition. I really like this from Afreeca. And the game plan becomes so simple. You just need to not get obliterated early. That's all you need to do. Don't get cute. Don't outplay it. Just... Come on, there's shit going on. Get him to take... Alright, that was actually good from Kingzone. Wish we could have seen how that happened if it was like a bait or something like that. But... That was good. Choke off, make him take E. That does slow his clear quite a bit, because you want to take Q max. Q or W, not E at level 1. It's not even weird to me that they went blue side again either. But what is weird to me is that Afreeca selected red side again, and Kingzone just ran the same thing back. And I don't think they lost that game. It's not like they lost that game on execution. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they had more faith that they could execute better, but, like, they didn't lose that game specifically from execution. Because there's times where, like, if you lose a game like that, and it's just because you, like, messed up, or there was a weird level 1, or, like, you didn't put your win condition the correct way, like, if there's games like that where they happen, and it's not a big deal, and you'd be like, oh, you know what, well, let's just run it back, and we'll get them this time. Like, that's respectable. Good teams do that all the time. But that wasn't exactly execution-based. I mean, Khan made mistakes. I guess that's what they were thinking of. But, like, you can't think that you had a good team comp, and they made very few adjustments. Like, they made the one adjustment they did need to make, which was get some hard engage, and they got Camille and Alistair, so that's good. It's so hard being in that situation, like, being stunned game 1 like that, because you got to kind of make your decision whether or not you're going to, you know, switch it up, stay the course. So I can respect them staying the course here. I just think it's weird that they would stay the course even after Afreeca chose red side. That's the signal to me. There's not a whole lot going on here. Tucson getting a deep red ward, which is actually kind of cool. He actually slowed Peanut down there. Even, like, the 10 seconds of dancing around to make sure nothing serious was happening just makes it so that Spirit's able to get ahead. Tucson's played a really good series so far. 1 game and 3 minutes in. This is a lane that Kramer should have. Afreeca should have priority. Afreeca should have priority in bot and mid early. Vel'Koz is really, really good early at shoving because it's fast. He actually gets his damage. He's like a level ahead of other mages in terms of like full clearing with like 2 spells. I feel like Keen shouldn't be winning this as hard as he is, but he is because he's Keen, I guess. And again, like, they're already in that situation where it's like, okay, we've established these lanes. We didn't botch the first minute and a half of laning phase at all. All we need to do is hold serve now because their team basically can't beat you late. Like, you can split push against Cho'Gath all you want. You're not going to kill him by yourself. You'll be able to kill him with Talia, and then you kill him with Talia, and they just take Baron because they have tanks and hyper carries. I'm not saying this is like auto lost for Kingzone on draft. I just really don't like. I don't like the approach they're taking. There's certainly they could certainly outplay this, but they give themselves a small window again, and I just don't see why they needed to do that. This looks to me, guys, like this was just a bad read. Like, they just had the wrong read. Or they were just raffle stomping scrims without picking real team comps and trying to go all out damage. Totally possible, by the way. So, something I wanted to, like, just briefly discuss on while we're kind of at a lull here. Like, we don't know what these teams... I mean, we can divulge... We can figure certain things out about what they were thinking, but, like, we don't know what happens in scrims. We don't know... Maybe Kingzone weren't playing this at all in scrims, and this is totally out of nowhere, in which case, to me, that's terrible coaching. But maybe this was like what they were having success with in scrims, and are you going to blame a team for playing what they were doing well with? No. Ultimately, we don't know. All we can look at is bigger picture things. Or all we can look at is, like, bigger picture things. Was the execution good? Did we get to see why this could have been a good idea? Was it a hard read? There was a misread. Like, that's what I think happened here. Like, I think Kingzone thought that maybe Afreeca wasn't going to just play tanks. That's what this looks like. Because these team comps would have been a lot better against tankless team compositions. How the hell did Keen live there? So mirrored dives. You could see this like 45 seconds ago when both teams started stacking minion waves. Like already in bot lane, Afreeca stacking a wave, and already in top lane, Khan stacking a wave with Camille. And you can tell like they're stacking this wave to get it nice and big and fat, so that when it gets to the tower, they can they can dive the other character and not just have the like. It's not about having the minions to soak health for you. It's about you want that wave to crash into the tower as you dive them to deny them the most resources if you get a kill or if you force them back, so that they miss out on the entire wave worth of experience and farm. So that's why you see both teams stacking these waves here. You stack these waves by slowly killing minions. Here comes the dive top. Here comes the dive bottom. Kind of weird to me that Gorilla would flash that way afterwards. Oh, look, top lane. We're only going to get to see the top lane in the picture-in-picture. Ooh. Ooh. Let's go to half speed on this. We're going to watch down here, guys. So Keen flashes from here over to here. Peanut's gonna put the Talia combo out, trying to cut off and limit him to this spot right here, but he'd already flashed out. Kind of slow reflexes by Peanut, by the way, because he could have just stop moved and canceled this, or just re-input a movement command. And with that cooldown down, things get a lot more difficult for Talia. Like, Talia just used 2 huge cooldowns and already had a Q going. Wow. Wow. I wish we saw the very beginning of this. Wave crashes. Khan goes in. Nice flash by Keen. I'm looking down here, guys. Just one too many tower shots. I mean, all right, so this game, this is the kind of game that you would look at that. I don't want to say it's over, but that is a massive, massive swing. Like, what's supposed to happen there is they get a kill top, trade top tower, they get a kill bottom, trade bottom tower, and then it's like Herald for Drake or whatever, right? I mean, this early in the game, it's probably just the towers and back and reset. When you're able to break like that and have your top laner live through the 2v1 dive, keep his tower alive, doesn't miss any of that experience, misses some of the goal, but doesn't miss any of the experience, gets some of the goal back with a kill on a Khan, he's going to have a huge experience lead, and when Cho'Gath gets ahead, Cho'Gath stays ahead. As immobile and ridiculous as he is, he stays ahead. And now you have the bot lane ahead too. This game is, I don't want to say it's over, but it's effectively over at this point already. You have a better scaling team that just that just broke serve on in a situation that should have been even. That's a big deal, guys, is what I'm trying to say. TLDR. TLDR, big deal. Khan's so disciplined there. We're going to look at that again real quick. So now we get the actual full replay. Let's cut it down to half speed here. Oh wait, what did I do? Shit, what did I do? I want to see the replay. Oh, here's the replay. Oh no, this is not the replay. Shit, I lost it. I hit 0, guys. I'm an idiot. Give me 1 second. It'll literally say replay in the frame. It was like 6 that the play happened. The replay's probably like here. There it is. Okay. So let's see how this develops, right? Here comes the wave. Here comes Peanut. Khan lands a stun. Khan already has tower aggro. I think... Keen putting as much damage down as he can right away. Okay, so in the picture-in-picture, it actually looked bad, but Keen flashed right as he saw the animation for this. So Peanut, I'm not going to blame Peanut for that. He just missed. Keen flashes away from it. Watch out, like, alright, so I want you to watch. Keen puts, he's always putting auto attacks down this whole time. Auto attack. Move. Auto attacks again. And he got there. Peanut misses out on a little damage there, but he didn't have the angle for it. I think that was a poor angle to shoot the Q. The second Q, or this first Q. So he put the combo down, assuming... Yeah, I'll show you in a second. So Peanut's going to put the combo down right here, assuming he's going to push... Assuming he's going to push Keen back like this with the shove, right? So he does his Q, the shard volley, like in that direction, because that's how you're supposed to play it. Soon as Keen flashes that, Peanut's now out of cooldowns, and he only has like the last 3 ticks. 1, 2, and then he has 1, 2, and 3. He hits Keen with 1 and 2, doesn't hit it with 3. Not that it would have mattered, because it wouldn't have killed him anyway. Peanut just missed out on way too much damage there because of that flash. It was a good outplay. That's all that was. I think what Peanut could have done was like maybe feign. I mean, you don't really have that kind of option because if you don't, it's a lot harder to hit it when they're not in an area like that. So, I mean, at this point, Keen surviving that and having like, I mean, I guess they didn't get the tower bottom. Oh shit! I didn't realize they didn't get that tower. Never mind. I was operating under the assumption that they did. That's my B. So, Afreeca actually kind of messed up not getting that tower there either. So this could have been a way, way harder punish. And even still, Afreeca's up, you know, 1,300 gold here. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they get this because they now have control over this. Also, Kramer didn't get a piece of any of that gold, which is relevant. How'd this develop? See Kuro really aggressively shoving, like Vel'Koz does. He's willing to even take damage to do so. So, alright, you're about to see, like, this is a priority play. Kuro is sacrificing some of his health to get this minion wave dead, and he's willing to take some damage to do so. And the reason he's doing that is he's going to now make BDD, who's used cooldowns on him now. BDD is now going to have to wait a couple seconds for another cycle of cooldowns to get this minion wave dead, or he's just going to miss the minion wave because Kuro's about to walk down this way and help his team with a play over here. Okay? This is priority play. This is what that means when I say priority, right? So, watch. He's going to take some damage. He's immediately going to go down to his team, right? Immediately goes down there. And as we see these, you can see the, like, BDD is giving up this minion wave here. He's giving up these couple minions that just crashed into his tower to try to support his team. But when you get situations like that, even if nothing comes of this whole play, that's an incremental advantage for Afreeca. And with this kind of team comp that's going to outscale like this, you want to play for incremental advantages like that. Like, they're not trying to make big flashy plays. They're making fundamental, good, basic decisions here. Playing for priority, moving in together, getting a ward. They're not overstaying. They're not fighting here. They're not going to contest this red buff. They're going to go back. They're going to take the incremental advantages, and that's what they're going to do. It's really, really smart. This isn't like revolutionary or anything like that. It's just really smart. King's going to set up another dive here, but Keen spots it out with an old ward. Not sure if that was his intent. I'd have to go back and look, but I forget. And now that you see Kuro's got, or now that you see Keen's got this lead and Kuro's got his cooldown boots and mana item, they can just shove all 3 waves now and then just, yeah, like. So now Afreeca have, like, I don't know, I always call this kind of thing a full court press, right? They have 3 lanes that are now, since the one that was going to be the question was Keen, right? But Keen got out of that situation alive and scored a kill out of it. They now have 3 lanes that can just shove. So all that Afreeca needs to do at this point is just shove every wave. Like, look, if they just shove top, mid, bot, eventually, that's going to allow Spirit to move into the jungle and take whatever he wants, wherever. That's going to allow Spirit to make plays. That's going to present a situation for Kingzone where if they want to break this endless cycle of pressure, they're going to need to sacrifice, right? Like they're going to need to make a play somewhere, and that's on Peanut to do. If the other team's shoving, this is the good thing about champions that shove well and shove quickly, is they don't need to stay overextended for a long period of time. Vel'Koz is going to clear the wave in like 5 seconds. You have a 5-second window to get a Taliyah ult. It's probably not going to happen. So they know cooldown-wise, Keen's the only one without a flash right now, and that's got to be the spot they attack. Now, Peanut is up here. Peanut's in this vicinity. So they're going to look to punish Keen again because they have to, because that's the flash that's down, and they are now on the defensive with a proactive team, and that's not where you want to be. Like they have the Kesa for scaling. They have the 1-3-1. They have the 1-3-1 plus picks with Taliyah, but against a triple tank, like a traditional like 2-core composition with 3 tanks, 3 extremely disruptive tanks, by the way, with great defense, great engage, and 2 hyper carries like Vel'Koz and Varus. All of a sudden, you're in a situation where you got to start making stuff happen, or this game's over. So Khan recognizes this, and he's trying to get forward vision because he knows that they need to set something up here. He knows that Spirit's... It's smart of Khan because he knows that they're going to try to play around... He knows that Afreeca's going to try to play around Keen, or at least defend Keen because he doesn't have his flash. So it was a good read to get the ward just to confirm that there was, he was coming. What's bad is look at where Peanut is when this is happening, right? So Peanut was in this vicinity... Like, we'll go back. I want you to watch. So, Peanut was up here, right? Was up here. Gets spotted on the ward. Thinks maybe he got spotted on minions, but then, like, this was a bad decision. Like, Khan and Peanut were not on the same page. If you're going to make a play on top lane, you don't shove the wave, because you're not going to dive this tanky Cho'Gath now. You want the Cho'Gath to step out. So, Khan shouldn't have been pushing this wave. But Peanut and Khan needed to talk about this and communicate this at, like, 8:15, like 25 seconds ago. So he needed to catch this wave that's on the tower right now up here. And then, they need to say to each other, okay, neutralize that wave. Make it even. Balance the wave out. Kill those creeps, let the waves hit each other, and then don't shove, right? Because I'm going to try to make a play because Keen's the only one without flash, and this is our only window to do it. So Kingzone are already under the gun here. So Peanut's doing a clear. He's getting his red buff. He's getting ready to head topside. Khan takes a trade here. And then after this trade, he like starts auto-attacking these minions. Like, he's auto-attacking these minions, maybe preparing for the next wave that's coming down here. And then they're going to go on that wave. But Keen's so tanky, he could just tank this wave, which is like what he does, I'm pretty sure. I gotta look again. Like, Keen didn't get that to the tower fast enough. He didn't leave it neutral. Leaving it neutral would kind of telegraph that there's going to be a gank, but Keen's going to be expecting a gank anyway. So like at the highest levels like this, there's like this like rock paper scissors like 3-dimensional chess nonsense going on where like level 0 would be like, okay, I'm going to gank top lane. Level 1 is setting up that gank for top lane. Level 2 is not telegraphing that you're setting up a gank top lane, which is probably what Khan was trying to do by not freezing. If he freezes it, then Keen's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to stand under the tower because this is stupid. I'm going to get ganked. And then like level 3 after that would be like, you know, not telegraphing that you're not telegraphing. Like this is like the footsies in fighting games, right? But like this isn't to me this isn't a situation like that. This is very cut and dry. This is the only window that Kingzone have. Khan can't get this wave to the tower, so they can't dive it. You don't want to dive a Cho'Gath anyway. Khan should have froze this wave, made Keen call his bluff, and then force the gank. And if it didn't work, then you're no worse off than you just were. Because what's going to happen now is like look, they sent all these resources up there. You're still getting pressed out in the other waves. You're getting a free recall on mid. Bot's going to get to go do whatever they want. And all of a sudden, Khan's just in no man's land, right? Because Peanut came up here. Nothing occurred. Nothing came of this. Peanut needs to keep clearing jungle. You can't just like not do anything in this game. Peanut goes down here. And then all of a sudden, all right, so now Keen intelligently is just going to freeze the wave. Khan realizes he's just going to freeze the wave, knows that he needs to do something about it. So Khan needs to get this wave to the tower at this point. Now that gank failed, Khan needs to get this wave to the tower. So he is sacrificing his health to get that. All right, so level 1 is Keen realizing he needs to freeze. Level 2 is Khan realizing that he's freezing and needs to get the wave to the tower before that happens. Level 3 is Spirit being there, knowing that Khan is going to try to shove to break the freeze and just punishing him for it. And that's what happens here. And Kingzone are very quickly out of options. Like they're just out of options in this game. At this point, Afreeca would need a tremendous throw. They have a better scaling composition. They have a full court press in all 3 lanes. Every lane's winning. They're about to have summoners up in every lane, and there's suddenly nowhere for Peanut to get anything efficient. Everybody can just flash the wall. And this is part of the problem and why it's so difficult to play these all-in early game teams. Honestly, to me, if you're going to play the all-in early game team, don't half-ass it and pick Kesa. Pick the all-in early game team. Pick an AD carry that's going to hard shove and just dominate lane early. Honestly, Prey should have played like Draven. He could have played Draven. He could have played Sivir, like something that can match the shove and like just push back so that you have priority in one lane. But when you don't have priority in any lanes, that's a problem. You're going to lose. This is another game they just lost in the draft. Kingzone had a really, really terrible game plan. Like, the only coherent part of this game plan is that they're gonna give up lanes and get shoved, which is good for Talia because it lets her gank. But it's not good when you have when you give up a bunch of champions that fast push. And I know you can't ban out every champion ever that fast pushes. That's not possible. It's not feasible to do that. But yeah, and see, like Kingzone, Gorilla's just trying to make a play. Like they're in desperation mode. They need to do something here, and Afreeca appropriately punish it. Like, again, I'm sorry, I'm like talking a lot while this is rolling. So like these plays are pretty telegraphed, like 30, 45 seconds in advance. Honestly, you could see this was going to happen the second they turned that top gank. The second they got that kill top, you know Spirit's going to be coming bottom. So Gorilla sees this. He knows Spirit's in his bottom jungle. He's not stupid, but he also knows that, like, you know, we're in a situation where we need to make a play here. So this is what Gorilla does. This is what great players do. They take the percentage play. They take the 10% shot that's going to work instead of, you know, waiting until it's a 2% shot. And Afreeca get the punish, and wow, they get a kill on Keen here? Ooh, almost. Yeah, I mean, and then that was the desperation play, and then honestly, this game's over from here. with the good Korean teams like this, they don't really ever mess up closing games. They rarely do. And that's honestly that's like every Korean team. That's kind of a staple of the Korean play style is you play you like pretty much always play for percentages. Like you just do what is the best percentage play every time. And so for closing, it's really really good. For snowballing, it's not always the best. That's why that's why a lot of the Korean teams play that slow scaling style. Not all of them are that good at the snowballing aspect. Some of them are, but like all of them, even MVP and BBQ know how to, I mean maybe not BBQ because they were bad, but like even those teams know how to you know put on a clinic on closing a game out. And like honestly, that's the case in most regions. I'm not just trying to relegate that to Korea, but like especially in Korea because more of the teams play that way. And they're molded by it because they play against that all the time. I mean, this game's effectively over. I mean, we'll skip through this just to see if Kingzone do anything interesting to try to like because at this point you need to get creative. Like you need to get creative and do some things, or you just need to be decisive and take all ins. And Afreeca. Like, look at... So, Spirit is not only just moving into jungle to, like, keep vision over here. Like, he's not just doing this because of, you know... He's not just doing that because he wants to take creeps. There's no creeps to take. He's doing that because he knows the only way that Kingzone get back into this game is desperation plays, and he wants to know exactly what's going on. So, he's doing a really good job closing the game out. Like, look at this. He's not even doing anything. He's just, like, holding vision. And Afreeca just corralled Kingzone. So, I mean, Afreeca played really, really excellently, but these games were so over in the draft. That's a good play. That was a really, really good play. Let's go back and take a look at this again. So, let's see how this develops. Slee is not quite in ult range yet. The Talia Rise roam combo is really, really potent. As soon as Gorilla knows Tusin's posturing aggressively like this, which he sees, because he walked past a ward up here. There's a ward over here. As soon as he sees Tusin posturing that aggressively, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Spirit's around with him. So they decide to make a blind collapse, which is the correct decision. Crow gets caught to pulverize, tried to flash it, didn't quite get out of range of it. That's a nice pick from Kingzone. I don't think Kuro should have went in. Like, it looked like they were trying to set some sort of dive up top, but, like, you don't need to at this point. Kuro could have just stayed, caught another wave mid, so that was a mistake on Kuro. I think Spirit was fine. Spirit would have got out of that situation. But Vel'Koz is a lot less slippery than Gragas is, so... I mean, that's something. That's step number one. Kingzone just needed something to get back in this game. And a Water Drake is just insult to injury at this point. It is something. They're just so far behind in every aspect. Like, this would need to be like a hero. Like a hero. Afreeca need to mess this up really bad if this is even remotely going to be a game. Kingzone are just fishing for a pick at this point. That's all they can do. All they can do at this point is fish for picks and hope Afreeca mess it up. This game went from like, you know, maybe like 55-45 or 60-40 post-draft to 75-25 after that top play to like 90-10 after the bot kills and next dragon. And the longer it goes, the closer it's going to be to 100 just because Afreeca's got a better scaling comp. Obviously, split pushing things can happen, and that's, you know, wild and zany fun and all, but if you're just like looking at this percentage-wise, it's like Now with those kills, maybe it's like back to like 85-15. But it's not a big enough swing because Kingzone can only get money from that, and they can't get any kills, or they can't get any objectives off of it. What they get? I think they got a Rift Herald. So they got a Rift Herald and the Dragon, I guess, but it wasn't directly off that play. Or not Dragon, a Rift Herald and the Tower. But it wasn't directly off that play. And then at this, like, I don't know. This is alright. So this is an example, right? Like, Kingzone are having to throw Hail Marys, right? Like, they're basically betting on Afreeca not actually continuing this push, and Afreeca intelligently just like, yo, come deal with it, bro, and get a free tower out of it. When you're ahead like this is how you do things when you're ahead. You put the enemy team in situations where they're going to be, like, very cornered. And you just take trades. Or like, you don't want to take, like, one-for-one trades, but, like, force them to make a play. And then it's a lot easier to react to a play when you know it's coming. So I don't know what the final score was in this game. I don't remember what the game time was either, but I really don't see how Kingzone win this. I'm actually going to fast forward a bit if you guys don't mind. At this point, with this game effectively over, I'm mostly looking at any Afreeca mistakes in closing the game out. Because if Griffin decide, like, this is the kind of situation where, like, if Griffin decide to revert back to, like, their challenger selves and play the scaling compositions, I think Afreeca's ability to close matters a lot. This game all hinged on that top lane play. Keen did what superstars do and made a gigantic play. And he outplayed... Keen outplayed two of the world's best players in Peanut and Khan. Which is kind of unbelievable to think about. Because I don't even think Peanut and Khan played that terribly. They engineered a situation where they had to dive at Cho'Gath. That's bad. But again, that goes back to, like, drafting and such. If your plan is to set up a top lane gank, Cho'Gath's not the champion you want to gank, so maybe you need to... That's like the 4-dimensional chess. That's like the level 4. That's like counter pick to the counter pick, map counter to the counter pick, comp counter to the counter pick, and then, like, play counter to the counter pick. Like, well, it's not even really a counter pick. It's just like a matchup. It's tank versus carry, but, like, that's like the 4- and 5-dimensional chess with, like, 8 layers or whatever the fuck. And I mean, it's at that point you're not really thinking about that. It's just intuition. But Kingzone were super predictable. Afreeca had a great plan. Afreeca outdrafted them. And now we're just looking to see how they close. Because how they close this game, to me, is going to affect... I mean, I watched 3 and 4, so I know... Like, spoiler alert, I know how the series goes. But, like... I wanted to watch these 2 games to see if it was, like, fluke. Or if it was, like, Kingzone being bad. Or if it was Afreeca playing well. It turns out it's been Kingzone had a terrible game plan and Afreeca playing really, really well. Like, it was both. It was a little bit of both, but it was mostly... I'd say it was like 80% bad game plan from Kingzone, 20% good play from Afreeca. Because I expect Afreeca to play well. I'm not expecting them to make mistakes. Afreeca only lose when their individual skills matter. So teams need to be able to draft against them, and Kingzone bots this so bad. They just had a bad read. And this is just like shooting fish in a barrel. It's easy. Okay, there's Baron. How are we closing this? Where's the lane assignments? Alright, they're sending the 3 bottom. Okay. Spirit moving, getting forward vision. I don't know why Kingzone is catching this mid wave when they should be... Again, like, minimize, like, taking your 10% chance instead of your 5% chance. Kingzone needed to try to make a play, like, as they were roaming in for vision. That's a window. That's one of the only windows you're gonna have for a long, long time. So, okay, so they do try something. That's good. Wow. Keen with the big dick plays there. This guy's a monster. Holy shit. I don't want to say he single-handedly won this game, but that initial play single-handedly won this game. Like, the counter dive top. It reminds me so much of, like, really, like, Khan too. Khan last season. Reminds me of Khan last season. It reminds me of Smeb after his like first 2 initial terrible seasons, and he was like a laughing stock, and then he got better. Jesus. Yeah, I honestly don't even think like there were mistakes made by Kingzone, but the mistakes that were made by Kingzone in these 2 games, there was one bad mistake regardless of situation or team comp or setup. There was one bad play in game 1 from Peanut where he just made a poor macro decision, and that ended up being a big deal. Outside of that, there weren't a lot of poor decisions made. It was just they dug themselves in a hole in the draft. As a matter of fact, Kingzone had a couple situations where they fought their way out of a paper bag and had ways of turning things around, but they were just in such a disadvantage going into these games that it didn't matter. And that's like not lazy analysis either, guys. Like I'm not trying to say like these games were over in the draft, but like they weren't over in the draft, but they put Kingzone in a situation where they had very, very specific things they needed to do. Like, Kingzone needed to get this ball rolling ASAP in these games, and they just didn't in either of these games. Which is both good on Afreeca. It's not poor on Kingzone. It's good. It's mostly good on Afreeca. In the second game, we talked about Khan, where they had that window after Cho'Gath already had the kill, where they had that window without his flash that they could have killed him, and Khan, like, you know, probably forgot or was just like mindlessly shoving the wave when he should have been freezing. And even with it, you know, even with Keen being able to see it coming, no flash, you gotta force the Cho'Gath to do that, because at that point you're like, you know, already low percent to win this game. Game 1, it was the macro decision for Peanut where he wasted like 15 seconds just walking around and didn't get anything off of it when he had a clear path to take topside. So like a couple macro misplays, but like those weren't like game-ending macro misplays. They were just, I mean, Keen made a ridiculous play in this game. That's all this. This game was minus draft by Kingzone. In game, the execution would have been. I mean, some at this level, guys. Like, and I don't mean to sound like a cop out here, and I'm not justifying my law. We lost. Like, I'm not trying to justify the decision or whatever. Like, I don't have to. I found it justified beforehand. Keen in the second game, Keen just made an unbelievably good play. Both teams played that exactly how they were supposed to. Keen just broke serve. And when everybody is as good as these players are, like, sometimes games come down to just whoever made the outplay. And Keen made the outplay in this game. So that's it. That was game 2. Game 1, and I'm talking strictly about in-game, right? But all of this stuff snowballs on itself, right? So in game 2, you know, that's a pretty typical thing. Dive bot at the same time, diving top, trade resource. That's a very common thing. It happens a lot. It's a lot like the new version of like the old lane swap meta where you just like take the towers for free, right? There's going to be a dive, and sometimes the top laner breaks that up and makes a ridiculous play and lives, and you can snowball a game off it. That's what happened here. But game 1, I think there were mistakes that Kingzone made, and I think really this whole series is like, let's do a final split on this just to like talk about it. Let's pie chart. Let's do a pie chart, fam. Here we go. I'm gonna say like draft was like 75%. Right? John Madden over here. Draft was like 75%. Keen outplay. Keen outplay was like 10%, and then 15%. We'll label these. Keen outplay was like 10%, which is sometimes the margins that happen in these games, honestly. In that second game, this was like a 95-5, right? And then we'll say it's like 15% concentrated power will. No. It's like 15% just Afreeca being disciplined and good and having a good game plan. So that's all. I know, like, this isn't exactly like I didn't have infographics and pictures and everything, but like this is kind of the stuff that I just want to give you guys a glimpse into like how I think. Not before games, but like analyzing games that happen. Before games, like there's a lot of research. I look at Oracle's Elixir. I look at Wikipedia. I watch replays, usually in like 1.5 or 2x speed, including the games that I've watched or listened to already in the morning, especially if it's like an interesting game. I'm not saying I do that for literally every single game, but I watch or listen to literally every single game in the LCK. I don't double watch all of them. I do double watch most of them at like 2x speed. So I do watch these games. I do see what's going on. Sometimes I have the wrong reads. Sometimes I take the wrong information from these games. But all I'm doing is trying to give you guys a glimpse into like how I break things down, how I view things, right? Because I think it's, you know, it just gives you an idea of like how I think of these things and how I'm looking at these things, and how it's not. Some of it is me making a read. Kingzone made the wrong read here, right? I can't control that. But I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad about the wager I made. I think the wager was fine. I admitted that I mean the double up was pure swag status. Like that, like, and I warned people about that. So, but this would have, like, if I wasn't trying to ball out, like, this would have been a 6-unit play and I would have lost it, and it would have been, to me, no big deal. Like, it just is. I think it was the right decision going in. Kingzone had a really, really bad read, and this just goes to show you, like, especially in Korea where all the teams are so good. The reason I was so heavy on this was I thought Kingzone were enough better individually and as a team and more versatile enough to be able to absorb a bad game if it happened. And or just a bad plan and adjust, and they just didn't adjust here. So do I think Kingzone's going to make Worlds? Probably. Like, they're probably going to make Worlds. Like, unless Griffin wins the summer split, Kingzone's probably going to win the gauntlet and go to Worlds. Because Afreeca now have enough championship points that if KT loses, Afreeca have enough championship points to get, I believe, have enough championship points to be ahead of Kingzone, so Kingzone would have to play for the number 3 seed. And I think Kingzone would win that tournament. But I'm not going to try to like think too forward on all that. My initial lean is that I think Griffin will beat Afreeca, because I don't know. Maybe they won't. Rookie nerves. But I feel not as strongly as I did about this game, but I feel like I'm leaning Griffin. 3-1 or 3-2. But Afreeca look really, really good right now. But again, like we discussed, like as good as Afreeca look, this was a bad game plan, and I think this game was primarily lost from a bad game plan and bad drafting from Kingzone. This wasn't. There were a couple mistakes. I'm not saying it was perfect, but like this wasn't reliant on execution. This was like 75% draft and 10, like I said, like 10% just insane outplays. That was keen, right? So there you have it. I hope this gave you guys some insight on stuff. I'm going to turn the stream off. I might actually stream a little bit of solo queue later, but for now I'm actually going to break, get some dinner. And I hope this gave you some sort of insight into how I approach these things, how I look at these things. If you guys have questions, comments, etc., feel free to hit me up. And yeah. We're not going to tilt off this. It just is what it is, guys. It's no big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. It's a huge chunk of our bankroll. But we knew that signing up, and we signed up for that. So I want to just give you guys an insight, how I look at these things, why this matters, how, especially in Korea, like in the other regions, there isn't that next level thinking. It's very baseline, level 0, level 1, maybe level 2 in a lot of regions. In Korea and China and like the high end of like the NALCS and EULCS, like the very top teams, but especially in the top teams in Korea and China, there's so much like rock, paper, scissors, like next leveling going on. And sometimes like they're all such good teams that sometimes just the unbelievable play is going to win a game. Sometimes the wrong read on a game is going to be, you know, losing it for you. When the players and teams are so good, the margin for errors are so slim that, you know, sometimes you miss, or sometimes, you know, if a team just has a bad read, they can get punished even by a team that appears to be inferior to them, right? That's the lesson to take from all this. And like I said, I just want to give you guys some insight. Take it easy. Hit that follow button. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends if they're into this kind of thing. If not, Everybody have a wonderful night. Like I said, I might stream later, but I just want to give you guys this for now. Peace.